The Harris family has always been known for their tight-knit bond, often showcased through reality TV and public appearances. But a sudden fracture has sent shockwaves through the industry. Imagine the tension when Domani Harris, usually the most reserved and focused member of the clan, decides he can no longer remain silent. The catalyst? Shocking, unfiltered claims made by his father, the legendary T.I., regarding his stepsister Zonnique Pullins. This isn't just another tabloid rumor. This is a public confrontation that has redefined the family dynamic in real time. For years, Tip has been vocal about his parenting style, sometimes to a fault, but his latest commentary regarding Zonnique's personal life and career choices seemingly crossed a line that Domani felt obligated to defend. The internet was set ablaze when Domani took to social media, not with a cryptic message, but with a direct rebuttal that many are calling an attack on his father's patriarch status. He didn't just disagree. He dismantled the narrative T.I. was trying to build, sparking a debate about respect, privacy, and the boundaries of a father's influence over his adult children. Why would Domani, who has spent years building an independent music career away from his father's shadow, choose this moment to risk it all? What exactly did T.I. say about Zonnique that was so egregious it forced her brother to break the code of silence? As we peel back the layers of this escalating feud, we see a family at a crossroads, caught between traditional king of the house values and the modern autonomy of the next generation. This clash isn't just about one interview or one post. It's about a legacy under fire. From the initial viral clip to the heated exchanges that followed, we are breaking down every moment of this high-stakes family drama. Stay tuned, because the details behind this fallout are more intense than anyone expected. The Harris family, led by the legendary T.I., has long been considered a blueprint for hip-hop royalty. From their sprawling Atlanta estate to their long-running reality TV presence, the public has had a front-row seat to their growth, their struggles, and their undeniable bond. However, the golden veneer of the grand hustle empire recently suffered a devastating blow, not from an outside enemy, but from within the heart of the family itself. The catalyst for this unprecedented fallout was a series of shocking, unfiltered claims made by T.I. regarding his stepdaughter, Zonnique Pullins. While Tip has always been known for his tell-it-like-it-is persona and his complex vocabulary, his latest commentary during a high-profile media appearance crossed a line that many, including his own son, Domani Harris, felt was unforgivable. For years, Zonnique has navigated the difficult waters of being a celebrity child while trying to carve out her own identity as an artist and a mother. She has often been the quiet strength of the family, avoiding the loud controversies that her father seems to attract. But during a recent podcast interview, T.I. decided to pull back the curtain on Zonnique's personal life in a way that felt less like parental guidance and more like a public betrayal. He made claims about her independence, her financial choices, and even her parenting style, suggesting that much of her success was merely a byproduct of the infrastructure he provided. To the audience, it sounded like a father dismissing his daughter's hard work. To the family, it was a breach of the sacred trust that is supposed to exist behind closed doors. The internet, as expected, went into a frenzy. Social media platforms were flooded with debates about whether T.I. was simply being an old-school father or if he had become a narcissist who couldn't handle his children outgrowing his shadow. But the true shockwave didn't come from the fans, it came from Domani. Domani Harris has always been the quiet one. He is the son who refused to use his father's name to get a record deal, choosing instead to grind in the underground scene to prove his lyrical worth. He has always shown immense respect for his father, but T.I.'s comments about Zonnique pushed him to a breaking point. In an unprecedented move, Domani launched a blistering public attack on his father, signaling a civil war within the Harris household that no one saw coming. Domani didn't just post a cryptic quote. He went straight for the jugular. He addressed the hypocrisy of a man who preaches family loyalty while airing out his daughter's private business for digital engagement. This wasn't just a son being rebellious. This was a man defending his sister's dignity against a patriarch who seemed to have lost his way. Domani's rebuttal was sharp, intellectual, and filled with a raw emotion that resonated with millions. He questioned why T.I. felt the need to use Zonnique's life as a talking point to boost his own wise man persona. By doing so, Domani effectively dismantled the King of the South narrative, exposing the cracks in a foundation that many thought was unbreakable. The tension in the air was palpable. For the first time in the history of their public lives, the hierarchy of the Harris family was being challenged by its own prince. T.I., who is usually the one with the last word, found himself in a position where his own son was holding a mirror up to his flaws. Domani's defense of Zonnique was a declaration of independence. He made it clear that the younger generation of Harrisas would no longer stand by and let their lives be manipulated for the sake of a reality TV storyline or a viral podcast clip. He spoke about the psychological toll that this kind of public scrutiny takes on a person, especially when it comes from their own parent. As the news spread, industry insiders began to weigh in, with many praising Domani for his courage. It is rare in the entertainment world for a son to stand up to a father as powerful and influential as T.I., but Domani's love for his sister outweighed any fear of professional or personal backlash. He wasn't just attacking T.I.'s words, he was attacking the entire culture of controlling parenting that has defined Tip's public image for decades. The fallout was immediate. Sources close to the family reported that the atmosphere at their home became icy, with long-standing alliances being tested. Zonnique, caught in the middle, remained largely silent, but her brother's voice was loud enough for both of them. This confrontation highlights a massive generational gap. T.I. represents the old guard, a time when the father's word was law and children were expected to fall in line, regardless of how they felt. Domani represents the new era, one that prioritizes mental health, boundaries, and mutual respect over blind loyalty. By calling out his father's shocking claims, Domani didn't just start a family feud. He started a cultural conversation about the rights of adult children within famous families. The attack was a necessary explosion, a breaking of the chains that had kept the siblings quiet for far too long. The stage is set for a massive confrontation. The world is waiting to see if T.I. will double down on his claims or if he will finally realize that his children are no longer pieces on a chessboard. The king has been challenged, and the prince has shown that he is not afraid to strike. The narrative is shifting, the energy is high, and the implications for the Harris family legacy are permanent. The question isn't just about what was said anymore. It's about who has the right to tell the story. And as we move into the next part of this saga, we will see how T.I. attempted to regain control of a narrative that was quickly slipping through his fingers, leading to even more explosive revelations. Following Domani's public rebuttal, the atmosphere surrounding the Harris family shifted from a private disagreement to a full-scale cultural debate. The attack wasn't just a fleeting moment of social media anger. It was a calculated stand against a patriarch who had spent decades building an image of absolute authority. To understand the weight of this moment, one must look at T.I.'s history. For years, Tip has operated under the Expeditiously brand, a persona that prides itself on being the smartest, most articulate, and most disciplined man in the room. He has governed his household with the same intensity he used to conquer the charts. However, when Domani spoke out, he didn't use the aggressive language of a rebellious teenager. He used the calm, surgical logic of a man who had been observing his father's flaws for a lifetime. This was the first time T.I. faced an opponent he couldn't simply outtalk or intimidate, because that opponent was a reflection of himself. The immediate aftermath of Domani's post saw T.I. attempting to maintain his composure, but the cracks were starting to show. In his initial responses, some through cryptic social media stories and others through indirect comments on his platform, T.I. leaned heavily into the theme of ingratitude. This is a classic move in the Harris playbook, reminding his children of the sacrifices made, the wealth accumulated, and the doors opened by the grand hustle name. He suggested that Zonnique's autonomy was a luxury bought by his hard work, and therefore, he earned the right to comment on her life. But this argument, which might have worked 10 years ago, fell flat in the face of Domani's defense. Domani countered the narrative of financial debt with the narrative of emotional respect. He argued that no amount of money or infrastructure gives a parent the right to publicly humiliate their child for the sake of a viral clip or a podcast's engagement metrics. As the tension escalated, the focus shifted to the specific claims T.I. made about Zonnique's motherhood and her professional choices. Tip had implied that Zonnique was struggling to balance her responsibilities and that her soft approach to life was a deviation from the hustler mentality he instilled in his sons. By targeting her role as a mother, T.I. touched a nerve that went beyond industry talk. He attacked her core identity. Domani recognized this as a low blow. He pointed out that while T.I. was busy being a king to the public, Zonnique was the one providing the emotional glue for the family behind the scenes. The attack by Domani was essentially an exposé of T.I.'s blind spots. He highlighted that T.I.'s obsession with his own legacy was blinding him to the actual well-being of his children. The digital community began to dissect every interview T.I. had ever given about his kids, from the infamous Hymengate controversy to his strict rules for his sons. The consensus was shifting. T.I. was being viewed less as a protective father and more as a controlling figure who struggled with the concept of his children as independent adults. Domani's intervention gave people a voice to criticize T.I. without feeling like they were attacking the family as a whole. He became the inside man who validated what the public had suspected for years, that being a child of T.I. came with a heavy psychological price tag. The flow of the drama moved from the comments section to the dinner table. Reports surfaced that family gatherings became stiflingly quiet, with Tiny Harris, the matriarch, trying desperately to play the role of the peacemaker. But how do you bridge a gap when the two most vocal men in the family are standing on opposite sides of a moral divide? Domani's music also became a focal point during this period. Fans started revisiting his lyrics, finding hidden messages of his struggle for independence that had been there all along. He wasn't just defending Zonnique, he was defending his own right to exist outside of the T.I. brand. Every like on a comment criticizing his father was seen as a microaggression, a small step further away from the throne. Meanwhile, T.I.'s ego seemed bruised. In the hip-hop world, respect is everything, and to lose the respect of your own son in such a public manner is a blow that no platinum record can fix. He began to realize that his old-school tactics of tough love were backfiring. Instead of bringing the family together, his comments were isolating him. The narrative took a darker turn when industry peers began to take sides. Some older rappers, who shared T.I.'s traditional views, whispered about disrespectful children, while the younger generation of artists hailed Domani as a pioneer for family boundaries. This wasn't just a Harris family problem anymore. It was a hip-hop problem. It raised questions about how much of a celebrity's family life is fair game for content. Domani's refusal to back down forced a stalemate. He didn't delete the posts. He didn't issue a PR-friendly apology. He stood his ground, waiting for his father to acknowledge the hurt he had caused. As we move deeper into this conflict, we see that the shocking claims about Zonnique were just the tip of the iceberg. The real issue was a systemic failure of communication between a father who sees himself as a provider and a son who sees himself as a protector. Domani's attack was a signal that the era of the Harris dictatorship was over. The prince had not only challenged the king, but he had also won the hearts of the people by choosing empathy over ego. The stage was now set for a final showdown, not one of words, but of actions. Would T.I. finally apologize? Or would this fracture become a permanent part of their history? The tension was at an all-time high, and the world was watching to see who would blink first. The internal war was no longer about a podcast. It was about the soul of the Harris family, and Part 3 will reveal the ultimate price paid for this public reckoning. The fallout from Domani's public stand against T.I. eventually reached a point where it was no longer just about a single interview or a set of shocking claims. It became a watershed moment for celebrity culture in the digital age. As the days passed, the silence from the T.I. camp became heavy, broken only by the occasional philosophical quote that the King of the South is famous for posting. But for the first time, those quotes didn't land with the same authority. The public's perception had fundamentally shifted. By defending Zonnique so fiercely, Domani had effectively stripped away the untouchable status of his father's patriarchy. The narrative had moved from T.I. is a strict father to T.I. is a father who needs to listen. This was the ultimate aftermath of the attack, a total recalibration of the family's power dynamic. Zonnique's role in this final chapter is perhaps the most significant, despite her being the most soft-spoken. While Domani provided the shield and the sword, Zonnique provided the grace. She didn't join in on the public bashing of her father, but she didn't silence her brother either. Her quiet support for Domani's stance sent a clear message. The children were united. This unity was something T.I. hadn't fully prepared for. In the past, he could manage his children individually, but seeing them stand as a collective front, a new republic within the Harris Empire, was a challenge to his very foundation. The industry watched closely as the siblings began to prioritize their mental health and their bond with each other over the brand that T.I. and Tiny had built for decades. The cultural impact of this feud resonated far beyond the hip-hop community. Parenting experts and social commentators began using the Harris family as a case study for generational trauma and enmeshment. Domani's refusal to back down became a blueprint for other celebrity children who felt trapped by their parents' public personas. He proved that you can love a parent while still holding them accountable for their public disrespect. This wasn't a betrayal of the family. It was an act of evolution. Domani showed that true loyalty isn't about staying silent during a wrong. It's about having the courage to speak the truth so the family can actually heal. His attack was, in many ways, the most loving thing he could have done for the long-term health of their relationship. However, the price of this truth was high. The public fracture meant that the perfect family image was gone forever. For a man like T.I., who prides himself on his legacy, this was a bitter pill to swallow. We saw a shift in his content, moving away from the all-knowing advisor and toward a more introspective, albeit defensive, tone. The industry lessons here are profound. It serves as a warning to every celebrity parent that their children are not extensions of their marketing plan. They are individuals with their own digital footprints, their own feelings, and eventually, their own platforms to fight back. The shocking claims about Zonnique were the spark, but the fire it started burned away the pretenses that had kept the family in a rigid, outdated structure for years. As we look at the final verdict of this situation, it's clear that Domani Harris emerged as the moral victor. He didn't lose his career. In fact, he gained a massive new audience that respected his integrity. He didn't lose his sister's love. He solidified it. And while his relationship with T.I. may never return to the mentor-student dynamic it once was, it has a chance to become something better. A relationship between two grown men who respect each other's boundaries. The attack was the end of an era, but it was also the birth of a new kind of Harris legacy, one built on transparency rather than control. The saga of Domani, T.I., and Zonnique ends not with a winner or a loser, but with a lesson in growth. T.I. learned that his words have consequences that even his status can't shield him from. Zonnique learned that she has a village of support that will stand up for her even when she chooses peace. And Domani learned that his voice is his most powerful asset. As the cameras stop rolling and the tweets stop trending, the real work of healing begins behind the scenes. The Harris family is at a crossroads, and for the first time, it's the children who are holding the map. Whether they find their way back to a united front or continue on separate paths, the world now knows that the prince is more than capable of leading the way, with or without the king's permission. This is the new reality for the Harris clan. A reality where respect is earned, not demanded, and where family love means more than any viral headline. So, whose side are you on in this Harris family showdown? Do you think Domani was right to publicly stand up for his sister Zonnique? Or should family business stay behind closed doors? I want to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. If you found this deep dive insightful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe with notifications turned on so you never miss the latest in hip-hop culture.